Hi everyone, it's Patricia Warby, Alchemy Therapies, my emotional audit, and everything else that I do. Welcome to my channel. And today I want to talk about something which I covered a bit last year, and it's to do with kind of the impact on therapy of a new class of therapeutic agents. Well, I say new, they're not new. They've been around for millions, if not billions of years. And that's the mushroom family. Now, if you've followed me at all before, you'll see that I have been quite interested in the therapeutic use of medicinal plant medicine. I've talked about microdosing iboga, which I did last year. About this time last year, I think, I started iboga for the first time. And now I'm interested in psilocybin, which is the mushroom extract of the magic mushroom. Now, this isn't about how to source them or how to do this kind of work. It's more to do with the implications and obviously charting my progress as I go through the microdosing regime. Now, today I just want to introduce the Stamets Protocol because Paul Stamets is, I believe, one of the great practical scientists of our age. You know, he's doing amazing work since his first TED talk, I think was about 2009, 2010. 6 ways mushrooms are going to save the world. I will actually link that into the description here because it's an oldie but a real goodie. I mean, this guy, what he hasn't looked at is just incredible. You know, looking at how fungi helped colonize the earth, create soil, how it may yet save us, allowing us to tackle the viruses and bacterial infections of our age, from tuberculosis right through to COVID. But he's also looked at producing fuel and cleaning up soils, degraded soils, petrochemically polluted soils with mycelium. And so it's a great talk. I mean, it's so wide ranging in 15, 16 minutes. It's incredible. Now, my introduction to this has been through being a therapist myself and finding many people who are on the pharmaceutical antidepressants. And only 30% of people, even by industry standards, respond to these kinds of pharmaceuticals. So we know there's a huge gap out there for people struggling with their mental health, with anxiety, depression, mood swings, brain fog, all sorts of physical symptoms as well. And I wanted to investigate that. But as I work with people, I don't want to ever suggest anything that I haven't tried myself. So when I use EMDR, that's because it was very helpful for me. Tapping was the same, body work, all kinds of things that I've tried in order to overcome these kind of implicit memories of threat, which seem lodged in my system. I'm not going to talk about how and why that occurs because I've covered that in many other videos, but this is an exploration in being human. This is about tackling one of the problems of our age, which is a disconnected, disillusioned, despairing population in a toxic culture that shames and dismisses people and polarizes them one against the other. No more so than on social media. You know, I've witnessed that myself. Whenever I've said something which people disagree with, you know, they attack you immediately. There's no debate here. There's only I'm right, you're wrong, and I'm going to prove it. And so we're in a toxic culture as well, and so it's no wonder that people feel disillusioned and depressed. Lack of meaning, lack of connection, lack of community, motivation, and you know, the sense that you have a purpose here, that other people are here to support you, that life is an exploration of awe and wonder and joy, all seems to have been lost to the sense of life being just a competitive enterprise where you need to be top of the heap with the most money or the most possessions, and everyone else, you know, you kind of tread on your way up there. So I really need to get out of that. For me, this exploration is about dealing with vestiges of anxiety, which I've suffered with all my life. It's probably why I do what I do, to be fair, is help people with anxiety, because I know what that feels like. And I found that the pharmaceutical option didn't work for me. I was one of the people that didn't really respond to it. And I'm not saying in any sense that it doesn't work for some people and they aren't lifesavers for some people, because I'm sure they are, but they're just not everything. And actually, they're no long-term solution, as many people have found out when they try and come off them. It's very difficult, actually, and it causes all kinds of shifts in your brain neurochemistry, because they're really strong, some of these drugs, and they don't deal with the real cause, the causative factor, which is that you're out of alignment with your life in some way. So, okay, so how might mushrooms help us with that, right? The fungi, okay, how do they do that? Well, Paul Stamets has come up with some interesting theories, and he's actually developed what he called the Stamets Protocol, which I loved his description of that. He said so many people have stolen his ideas that he really wanted to name something after himself. Okay, so the Stamets Protocol takes very small amounts of the active ingredient, the extract from the magic mushroom, psilocybin, a tenth of the dose that's required to produce psychoactive effects. Okay, so you're not going to get any psychoactive effects when taking these doses. You're not going to feel hallucinogenic or see things. So first of all, we need to separate ourselves from what happens when you take these substances for recreational use. This is nothing to do with that, right? So if that's your bag, finish here, because I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about therapeutic doses and therapeutic use to help you connect with yourself in a deeper way, find out what your issues are, get your brain out the way, your thinking brain, and go into your body and find the source of your disharmony or your dysfunction. And so in order to do that, I'm taking the Stamets Protocol, which is 4 days on a 10th dose, along with a substance called lion's mane, which is it's just another form of mushroom, but it's very profound healing properties. And optionally, you can also add niacin, which is vitamin B3. Okay, now why did he come up with this? Well, he came up with this while having an hallucinogenic experience, because that does open your mind to the information net that's out there. And he thought about that. What we know about psilocybin is that it's involved in neurogenesis. Now, neurogenesis is a really interesting capacity of the brain to grow new neuronal connections, and sometimes even new neurons themselves, particularly in our memory center or the hippocampus. So if you think of neurons as being like a net of connections, building more neural connections means you can transmit more information or different information if it forms along a new pathway. And that's what happens, for instance, when you learn a new skill, like you learn to play the piano or do crosswords or whatever it is. And it's very recommended for people as they age, because new neurons means new capacity. And it's supposed to prevent Alzheimer's and all sorts of dementias. Okay, so number one, psilocybin creates new neuronal connections. Number two, he thought to add niacin, because he knew that when people take niacin, they often get this flushing effect. It's very well known. Some people hate it, and so they get non-flushing forms. But what's happening when you flush, right, is that blood flow is kind of coming to the periphery. So it's actually flooding the nerve tissue in the peripheral system. So there's two parts of your nervous system: the central, which runs down your spine from your brain down the central, down the vertebral column, and the spinal cord. And then there's also the peripheral nervous system, which obviously, hands, skin, everything that's outside the main core. Okay, so if niacin promotes flushing, he reasoned that meant that it might promote more blood flow to neurogenesis in other parts of the body, as well as the central part. And so he thought that could be a way of delivering the nutrient to all of the parts of the body. And so that was an interesting idea, which I think has been proven, which I'll talk about in a moment. And then the third component is the lion's mane, because it was well known that lion's mane builds the myelin sheath around your nerves. Now, the myelin is like a fatty insulator that surrounds the nerve fiber. And the quality of your myelin is what will enable your nerve transmission to be healthy. And it deteriorates with age and poor nutrition and stress, and particularly stress. And, you know, things like multiple sclerosis are where your myelin sheath is being degraded. And so nerve impulses start to stop and dysfunction. And so those three components he put together in this protocol. As I said, it's 4 days on the three together, and then 3 days with just the lion's mane and no niacin. Now I'm on day 5 now, so I've had 4 days of. I opted not to take niacin with it. That's optional. But I am taking a multivitamin, which does contain some. So I probably get a little small dose of niacin. So I'm on the first day of my pure lion's mane dosage. And well, it's been interesting. I haven't noticed any major effects yet, but what I have noticed is in the first few days, a cold sore that I've had intermittently ever since I first got a cold sore, you know, whenever that was, probably when I was a teenager, which incidentally also came up during my journey with iboga, has started just to be there. I'm just aware of thickening, but it hasn't developed. So something is going on, in my view, with the microbiome, perhaps a displacement of bacteria. It's antibacterial, I believe so. It's antiviral. It's helping to kind of combat, but as it's doing that, obviously I'm getting some symptoms because that's how the body works. It has to attack the issue, and you sometimes get the symptoms. That's what they're there for. So that's definitely going on. The other thing I've noticed is a moments of joy, moments of feeling actually quite positive, connected, hopeful, which you never realize aren't there until you suddenly get them again. And a sort of buffering, if you like, of that fear-based cycle that my brain does so well. You know, something bad happens, something, you know, somebody made a comment on one of my YouTubes that was really hard. And, you know, my brain just says, oh, you know, I've been attacked, basically. And then I thought, no, you know what? I'm just going to be practical and do what I can. You know, I can't please everyone. And it felt like a buffering, and not to go down into that hole of feeling so attacked. So far, very, very interesting. And, you know, 10th doses are, well, they're just easy. You just take them as a supplement. You're not having to do anything complicated. And you can just carry on with life as you would normally, and you're working and you're interacting with people. So I do think it's a way for highly sensitive people, particularly, to avail themselves of some form of therapeutic option without having to go to strange places and do what they call heroic doses, you know, doses that really are going to knock you over and take you to maybe places that you're not ready to go to. There's a lot of machismo in kind of this kind of plant medicine, and people, you know, even the name heroic dose, you know, like you're going on your hero's journey, is a very it's an attacking mode. You know, I've got to sort this thing and I'm just going to go for it. Well, some of us don't want to do it that way. We want to learn about ourselves in the process. Like, dare I say, it's a more feminine approach, and I'm not talking about gender here. I'm talking about male and female energies. Okay, so the more feminine approach is kind of assimilation, learning, cooperation, you know, and the more masculine approach is fix it. Now, there's always a balance in every person, and sometimes you just need to get into fix it mode, which, you know, I totally agree with. You can't always be floating above life. You need to be functional, but it's all about the balance, isn't it? And so for me, doing the microdosing is really the way to go, and it's very interesting. I'm very interested in anybody doing these kinds of investigations, and some people are very brave. Paul is one of them. There are many other people in the world who truly believe that, you know, the crisis we're heading for right now in terms of, you know, overpopulation, collapse of the planet's ecosystem, we're going into this blind because we basically we don't feel connected with it. So we're just assuming everything will be all right without really understanding that we're partly the problem, and we're also we're hurtling towards an end of not just ourselves, but of all the species pretty much. Maybe not bacteria, maybe not fungi that will probably outlive us. But, you know, this is happening and it's accelerating. And that's the sad thing, is that the disconnection that we have from nature is actually driving this. Because if we really loved our planet, we wouldn't be able to destroy it in the way we're doing. And so I really think healing ourselves is part of the journey to heal our planet, and it can't come soon enough for me. So folks, I hope you found that interesting. I'm going to update you as I go on. The plan is to do it over 3 months. Now, I'm not going to record one every week on this because that would be too many, but I will probably do maybe every couple of weeks, maybe every 3, and just update you with how I'm getting on. But happy to hear from you if you've got any comments, and please take care out there. Bye for now.